Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining. My name is Berit and today's video is going to be a book tag, more specifically the Reading Habits book tag. You probably kind of know what a book tag is, and I think the Reading Habits book tag is a pretty popular one, so let's just jump right into the questions. Question number 1, do you have a certain place at home for reading? Yes, I do have two certain places at home for reading. One of them is this sofa and the other one is in bed, because I do most of my reading during the evening and before I go to sleep. So I usually either sit on the sofa with a blanket or I'm in bed and read before going to sleep. Question number 2 is bookmark or random piece of paper, and my answer to that is definitely both. I tend to just use random pieces of paper that lie around, often receipts. I also like to use photos as bookmarks. I do own some bookmarks, which I have gotten out of the box where they've been lying around for the past couple of years. And I do like them. I mean, that one, not so much anymore. That was like a teenage phase that I had, where I thought the velvety butterfly stuff with the pink thing was super cool, and I basically don't think that anymore, so I don't use that bookmark anymore. But I do like these two, and I know that I have used this one, but I think I'm also afraid of destroying it, so I kind of don't use it. So yeah, I tend to forget that I have bookmarks, and I will honestly just use anything as a bookmark. Like, I'm literally using a tablet as a bookmark for a book that I'm reading in bed at the moment. But also, I did get a bookmark for my birthday last year. I think it was for my birthday, from a colleague, and I have been using that because I think it is beautiful, and I'm kind of using that for like the main book that I'm reading at the moment. Mostly, not always, but I tend to use this one for my main book. And I'm also kind of proud that I've been using this for a year. And I will not look at the 3 bookmarks that lie in front of me, giving me feelings of guilt. The next question is, can you just stop reading, or do you have to finish a chapter or a certain amount of pages? I just stop reading for the most part. Like, I would finish a paragraph or probably something like a conversation. I don't love to stop reading mid-conversation, although I sometimes do that. And if I can see that the end of a chapter is not very far away, I will try to finish the chapter. But that depends very much on the book. Like, if I'm reading something that has super long chapters, no, I'm not gonna finish that. I'm just going to finish a paragraph and then stop reading. Question number 4 is, do you eat or drink while reading? Usually not. I absolutely don't eat while reading because I find it too complicated. Eating is for me a full attention kind of business, but I also don't like the idea of getting some of the food or some, I don't know, my greasy fingers or something, if I'm eating with my hands that is, onto the pages, so I usually don't do that. But also, like, eating while also holding a book or looking at a page and reading kind of is distracting, so I usually don't do that. I do sometimes make myself a tea to have a cozy reading evening on the sofa, and then I usually forget my tea while reading because I get involved in the story, and then my tea gets cold and I didn't drink it. So in theory I do drink while reading, but actually I often forget to drink while reading. Question number 5, do you listen to music or watch TV while reading? Usually no. I cannot watch TV while reading. I used to be able to read while my family was watching something that didn't interest me, but I kind of cannot do that anymore. Like, even if I'm not interested in whatever is on, I will get distracted from my books, so I don't watch TV while reading. I absolutely cannot do that anymore. I do sometimes listen to music while reading, but that is not very often. because the music also tends to distract me, especially if someone's singing, of course. I do usually also get involved in the music, so I try to not do that. I think while I was reading Lord of the Rings, for example, I probably have listened to the soundtrack while reading, but that is very fitting. Like in that combination, it would work for me to listen to music while reading, but I usually don't do that. Next question is one book at a time or several books at once? Definitely several books at once. I think I read at least 2 books at once, usually. It might be that I read one on the sofa and another one in bed, or that I have one book as my main book and then the other book as my optional book if I don't feel like reading further along in the main book. I think I sometimes even read 3 books at a time, but usually not more than that, because then it gets complicated handling all the characters and storylines and stuff that you read about. At least for me, it gets complicated with more than 3 books, but 2 at least. 3 is also relatively standard. Next question is reading at home or everywhere? Lately, I've mostly been reading at home just because I have a 10-minute walking distance from where I work. But I do read everywhere, basically. Like when I was still living in Germany and I went to work, I would be sitting on the subway or the tram for like 15 to 20 minutes at least. And there I would often be reading, just because if you don't have to change trains that often, that's a good reading time you can get if there's not too many people on the train that talk and then distract you and stuff. But yeah, I would read everywhere basically, but I don't, because I don't have somewhere to commute at the moment. If I do have the situation, I will also always carry a book with me, just for the option of reading if I get bored on the train ride. So, next question is reading out loud or silently in your head? Definitely I read silently in my head. I usually don't read out loud. I think I am a very silent reader in general. Sometimes I do react to what I'm reading, but that is not very often. So yeah, I read silently in my head. Next question is, do you read ahead or skip pages? Absolutely not. I can feel the temptation sometimes if something feels boring or something, but I usually don't read ahead or skip pages, even when I think the story is dragging a bit, mostly because I am very afraid of missing something important when I skip stuff. I'm even afraid of missing something important when I don't skip stuff, so I absolutely don't like to just skip ahead. And I do often feel the temptation, I'm guessing that's pretty normal, when I'm reading, like, let's say the end of the chapter or the end of the book is nearing and it's on the right page, and you're reading the left page, then I feel a very strong temptation sometimes to just go from the left page, which is the one that I'm reading, to the right page and just, you know, read the last word or read the last sentence or something. That's kind of a strange temptation that I often have. And I don't like to do that, or I don't like to give into that temptation, because then I give myself a spoiler for what I am about to discover. So I tend to cover the last page with my hand just to not accidentally spoil myself the ending of a chapter, or especially the ending of a book. I don't know if that's weird or not, but that's what I do. The next question is breaking the spine or keeping it like new? I think I have evolved on that front, from keeping it like new to it's okay if the spine breaks. Like, I wouldn't break the spine on purpose, but I am mostly reading pocket books, so the spine will break while I'm reading because I'm opening the book. There are very few books where the spine doesn't break when you open the book. I used to be really weird about hating to break the spine. I have gotten better with that, and I even have some books where I absolutely don't mind that you see that these books have been read and have been used. And one example for that is actually my copy of Dune, which I have loved to read, and I kind of read that everywhere. And you can see that like the edges here are a bit black. Actually, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. And something from the plastic on the cover is kind of not where it should be, and also it has like 1,000 post-its in it because I also used Dune in class once, and I kind of marked things that I found especially interesting, which are a lot of things, as you can see. But yeah, other than that, I usually I do take care of my books, but I don't mind if the spine breaks or something. That's okay. And if I travel with books, I know that there will be some traces of me putting the book in a bag and taking it out again and stuff like that. So I'm not that strange about it anymore, but I tend to not break the spine more than I have to while reading. Let's say it like that. And then the last question is, do you write in your books? No, I don't. And I do write a lot in books that I use for work, that I read for work, like theory books. Of course, I write in them. I use text marker in them. I use everything. But if I'm reading in my free time, if I'm reading a novel or something, I don't write into my books because I don't like it. The maximum of what I would do is like having post-its in there to mark pages that I thought were interesting, funny, very dramatic, whatever. But I don't have a pen near me when I read for fun. So yeah, that wraps up the Reading Habits book tag. I hope that it was fun to watch and that you maybe got to know me and my reading habits a bit better. Please tell me about your reading habits, especially if you have weird reading habits, because I think that we all have them, and I think we are all crazy in some way with our books. So yeah, that's it for today, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Bye!